Hello again. So, you've heard me talk about the open moment, and that being, for me, the core. The core. This is what that was excuse me, without that, none of the rest of it could have happened. Without the open moment experience that I had from mid-August to mid-September, I would have died before the age of 40. There, there's no question about that. I would have died before the age of 40, and my children would have been orphaned, and I would have been remembered as a statistic of domestic violence. And I'm so grateful that it didn't turn out that way. So mid-August, I had my new thought, which was there's got to be a better way for me to live than this, and the willingness to believe it, which was the open moment. Okay, the open moment, that is what open moment means. It's the willingness to believe when you're not really able to believe. It's having the tiniest corner of your mind open to the possibility that things can work out for you the way you would like them to. So, and that is what I did. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's what I did for those 5 or 6 weeks, however long it was. So there's got to be a better way for me to live than this. I don't believe it, but I'm willing to believe it. Served me in this way. So I'm willing to believe. Started out, I don't believe it, wearing blinders. I got these big fat blinders on, and that's all I can see. I have this much vision. That's what I can see. I'm willing to believe that things could be different, even though I don't know the how. I'm just willing to believe. As I stayed in that willingness over the following weeks, I started seeing evidence that things could be different. I started seeing evidence of it, that things could change for me. Oh my God. Okay. This is a gradual process, but it always works. So I'm willing to believe. Just be willing to believe. And you will start seeing things will start shifting for you. So that was how it started. September 19th. So that started mid-August, beginning to mid-August. September 19th, 1999, I turned on my television. It was a Sunday. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. I will never, ever, ever forget it. I come downstairs, I turn on my TV, I flip through the channels, there's nothing on. I land on Oregon Public Broadcasting. I was living in Portland, Oregon at the time. I landed on Oregon Public Broadcasting just in time to hear this little tiny blonde woman dressed in a hot pink outfit she was standing on a platform in front of an audience, obviously doing a seminar. And I landed there just in time to hear her say that we all deserve to have our dreams come true. And I thought she was nuts. I thought she was nuts. Oh, look, a crazy person on Oregon Public Broadcasting. How dare they have somebody on here saying things like that? I was actually upset with Oregon Public Broadcasting for allowing somebody to be saying things like that on that station. But I couldn't. She caught my attention with that statement. We all deserve to have our dreams come true. What the hell does that mean? I have my own life as proof that you are incorrect. You must have grown up on a mountainside or something, because obviously you believe it. You believe what you're saying. That's pretty clear. But it's not real. It's not real. What I'm living is real, and what I'm living says there's no such thing as people as everybody deserving to live their dreams. Just will never happen. And I was pissed off that she said it, and I couldn't get myself to change the channel though, because she had my attention. So just a couple minutes later, she said 16 words. She said 16 words that completely changed how I saw how I was doing my life. Okay? She was quoting a man named Lao Tse. And the 16 words were these: if you continue down the road you're on, you're going to end up where you're headed. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is something that everybody knows, but it's not something that people really think about. And it certainly wasn't anything I had ever considered with regard to how I was living my life. If you continue down the road you're on, you're going to end up where you're headed. Holy crap. When she said that, I saw where I was headed. And I didn't like what I saw because I was headed for a grave. I was going to be beaten to death by a man who constantly and repeatedly told me that he loved me. Sooner or later, he was going to beat me to death, or he was going to run me over with his truck, or whatever. Something like that was going to happen, and I was going to die at the hands of a man who constantly and repeatedly told me that he loved me. Or he was going to put me in a wheelchair, and I was going to be at his mercy for the rest of my life. And I didn't like either of those destinations. And I could see that my road was my road. This is my road. It's my choices that have gotten me here. And I was looking at my life, I could see I'm 34 and a half years old, and the choices I've made throughout my adult life are what have brought me here. I can't do anything about what happened to me as a child. It was what it was. And yes, my experiences as a child created the belief system that had me making the choices that I was making that were going to land me in that grave or that wheelchair. Okay, but as an adult, I'm responsible for the choices that I make. And I could see that I continually chose basically the same man over and over again to get involved with. Different faces, different places, but always the same type of guy who needed to control me and took delight in hurting me and making me cry and making me bleed. And it was my choices that brought me there to where I was that day. And please don't get me wrong, this is not about self-blame. This is not about self-blame. This is about self-empowerment. Because until I decided to actually own that for myself, I was powerless to change any of it. So keep that in mind. If I'm not willing to own my own shit, I can't change any of it. If I'm more willing to blame everybody else or somebody else or some circumstance for my life being the way it is, I'm powerless to change it. I can't do shit to change it. So there I was, for the first time ever, not blaming myself for the way my life was, but owning in an empowered way the fact that it was my choices that have brought me to that point. So if you continue down the road you're on, you're going to end up where you're headed. I heard her say that. I saw where I was headed. I saw that it was my road, and I immediately went to, but U-turns don't work. U-turns don't work. I've already left this man 6 times. And every time he has found me and brought me back, or he has done something in my life out there, to threaten my children or to harass people at my work or to harass me at work, try to get me fired, all this stuff that he would do to force me to come back. And then I would get hurt worse than the time before. So U-turns don't work. Yeah, it's all fine and dandy to know that if I stay on this road, I'm going to end up where I'm headed. However, there is no other road for me because U-turns don't work. Another U-turn is going to get me killed. That was the split second. All of that went through my mind. Basically, if you continue down the road you're on, you're going to end up where you're headed. Well, it's too bad I'm going to die this way, is basically how quick that happened. Meanwhile, she was still talking. She continued talking, and it was what she said next that was life changing for me. Life changing. Okay. The first 16 words was a realization. It was an aha. It was a recognition that, oh, this road is my own. This road is my own. It was a recognition of that. What she said next and what she did next, it was visual. So I was able to see what she was talking about. So here's how it went. She said, if you continue down the road you're on, you're going to end up where you're headed. And then she did this. She said, if you're going down the road and you see that you don't like where you're going to end up, just make a little shift in direction. 10 degrees, 1 degree, a fraction of a degree, and a mile down the road, you're in a whole new place. You're in a whole new place. And I went, oh my God, I could do that. I could do that. Just a little shift in direction, a mile down the road, you're in a whole new place. I could see how that could be true. And that was my very first aha. It was my very first aha moment. And I obviously never forgot it. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget how that felt. To come to that sort of recognition that, oh, there is something I can do. There is something I can do to change this. This is so big. This is so big. So I'm asking you, take a look at your life. Your choices are your own. Where are they going to take you? Where are you going to take you? Where are your choices? Yeah, exactly. Where are you going to take you? Where are your choices going to take you? What's going to happen in your life if you continue to make the same choices that you've always made? And don't get all, if I make a different choice, he'll kill me. I understand how that feels. You don't have to do anything right now. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be different. Just start with the awareness. Really, that's a shift in direction in and of itself. Just starting with the awareness. Pay attention to the choices you're making and start asking the question, where is this going to take me? Where is this going to take me? And I guarantee that you will start maybe not immediately making different choices, but being more aware and more present rather than just reacting when something happens. That's a great place to start. And you can, just a little, do that once. Do that once. It's a little shift. Continue to make those little shifts, and a mile down the road, you're in a whole new place. You're in a whole new place. This is an amazing, empowering tool to use in your own life. And I'll say this throughout. This does not only apply to domestic violence. It applies to everything. If you feel like a victim of your boss, or a victim of your circumstance, or a victim of the government, or whatever, every single thing I'm sharing on this website will work for you too, if you should choose to apply it. Hardest part about it is number one, remembering to do it, remembering that this stuff even exists, and doing the work. Doing the work. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's also the most rewarding thing you will ever do, because your life will change as a result of it if you do it consistently. And having said that, let me say this. It's not going to be consistent at first, because you're not going to remember. I know this from experience. That's why it took me 9 months, because I wasn't very good at it at first. I wasn't very good at remembering, and I wasn't very consistent. It took 9 months of practice. And at the end of that 9 months, I had become the woman who could climb on the Greyhound bus, knowing I was going to be homeless in Phoenix, and succeed. I wasn't good at it at first, but I was determined. And it was important. It was important enough to me for me to be willing to do the work to change who I was in the midst of that relationship, in the midst of all that pain and sorrow and powerlessness and feelings of hopelessness. I had to do that work inside myself. And I'm here to tell you it works. So that's the first thing that I wanted to share. Um, there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me. Now, take a look at your life. What choices are you making? Where is the road that you're on going to take you? And what is one really, really small thing you could do to shift your direction? Whether it's the way you perceive something, or whether it's the way you respond to someone or don't respond, because you could always choose not to respond. What is one small thing that you could start to do differently and be consistent about it and practice being consistent about it? And let it be okay that you're not very good at it at first, but keep doing it. So, those are some powerful and empowering questions to ask yourself. And this is a powerful and empowering tool that can be applied in any circumstance. So, I encourage you to use it if you feel called to. See you in the next video.